Hello, everybody. This is the Insurance Disruptors podcast. My name is Nate Jones. I'm a co-host with Abe Busick here, and we're the Insurance Disruptors podcast, a podcast for you, the insurance agent who is looking to disrupt the insurance industry. And today we are helping you do that with a two-part podcast, one for the life side and one for the P&C/health insurance side. And it's going to be really great content. First, we have Abe. I'm going to interview him on how to have effective meetings, appointments on the life side. So you schedule a meeting, you're sitting down or you're having a phone call. What does that look like? And Abe, let's kick it off right here. What's your mindset when you start a meeting, when you're going into a meeting?
Yeah, man. Appreciate it, Nate. And I just want to put a plug in for our last podcast real quick, if I can, before I dive into that. If you missed the interview with Daniel Pig, man, go back and catch that episode because I think there was a lot of good stuff in that one. And I'm looking forward to diving in with this with you. But yeah, so we wanted to talk a little bit today. Me and Nate did about how to run an effective appointment on the life insurance side. And then we're also going to do one on the P&C side. But mindset, Nate, is so important before you go in to meet with the client, right? Like, just like we talked about on the phones, if you're in a bad mindset before you go into your appointments, or if you're having a bad day, whatever it is, if life's just being life for you and you carry that into your appointment, man, clients aren't going to want to do business with you, right? Like, you've got to be in the proper mindset. Who cares what happened in the last appointment, right? If you got your teeth kicked in the last 5 appointments, maybe they were jerks, man, that next client should not be able to pick up on that, right? So really, mindset's really important. But I think more importantly, when it comes to mindset for me, Nate, when I'm running appointments, is I'm trying to narrow it in more and gear it more towards specifically with this client, right? So I don't know how it is on the P&C side, Nate, but I think sometimes before we go into an appointment, our mind can start playing tricks on us, right? Maybe our mind will start telling us, oh, they're not really interested. They're going to waste our time, blah, blah, blah. And we start talking ourselves out of why this client's never going to buy before we ever even meet with the client, if we're not careful. At least that can be a problem on my end. But so I like to remind myself of 3 things before I go into an appointment with the client. Number 1, that client took my call and booked an appointment with me. There's obviously a need that they want my help with, right? Nobody's going to go through the phone script with you. Nobody's going to answer all the questions that we go through on the phone side to book the appointment, and then also continue booking an appointment with you if there's not something that they feel like they want my help with, right? And so that's the first thing, is understanding the client wants to meet, right? They want our help. But secondly, remembering my job is to go in and consult with the client, not sell the client. And what do I mean by that? It's not my job to make them interested or to make them want to buy. It's my job simply to go in and help the ones who are interested and help them navigate the options for them to purchase for themselves, to help with that. I think when we take that pressure off our shoulders before we go into an appointment, right, that it's not our job to persuade them to buy this product. It's my job to go in and just consult with them, really listen to what their need is, take that pressure off myself. If it's for them, great. If it's not, hey, you know what? I know there's enough people in my appointments throughout the week that I'm going to get my sales, and no hard feelings with them, and making sure they understand that. And then number 3, Nate, this is the one I think that's the easiest to forget. We can get so caught up in work sometimes with the clients. Have fun with the client, man. Like, they're people too, right? Sit back, relax. They're a human being. Have fun. Like, don't be so uptight. Enjoy the conversation. Even if you don't get the sale, man, if it was a pleasant conversation, hey, that makes the job even that much better, right? Like, and when I found myself in appointments when I'm not having fun and I'm trying to force it too much, the client never wants to do business with us, right? And so just remind yourself, they want your help. They booked an appointment with you. Our job is to consult and not sell the product, consult with them. And number 3, have fun. That's the biggest thing for mindset for me heading into an appointment.
Yeah. So really, you're just trying not to be selfish in a meeting. And a lot of salespeople can get selfish very easily, thinking about your needs, and instead you're focusing on the client, correct?
Yeah. I had a mentor one time who called it commission breath, right? He's like, it thinks, don't have commission breath. And that's so true, right? The clients can pick up on that. And whenever we're in a meeting for our own highest good and not our client's highest good, it's never going to end well, right? So I'm always going into every appointment trying to how can I best help this client? What's the highest good for them, not for myself? If that transitions into a sale and I get some commission off of it, great. But if not, how can I best help them regardless? Because again, like I think we mentioned on the first podcast, I firmly believe that if we're treating everybody right and we're always fighting for everybody else's highest good, including our clients, the money always circles back around. It always does. So, I don't close everybody I sit with. If I did, that'd be awesome. But I'm not like 100% close. But I will say I'm 100% add value because of that, right? Like when I sit with the client, even if they don't buy, they're better off because of that mindset than what they were before they sat with me.
Yeah. So you mentioned sale, and I think you said that when you're going into a meeting and in the framework of that meeting, you have an acronym, and it is SALE, right?
Yeah. So I kind of came up with this acronym myself. It's kind of quirky and corny, but it works for me, right? And so you want to write out SALE, and that's the steps of my appointment with the client, right? So I'll work my way through that. Let's start with S. And I think a successful appointment starts with setting the proper expectations right up front at the beginning of the appointment with the client. And what I mean by that is on the life insurance side, we're going to cover some topics that maybe most people don't necessarily want to talk about, right? We're going to talk about their health. We're going to talk about their finances. We're going to talk about, what the situation looks like if they die. Nobody likes talking about their death, right? Like that's not a fun topic to think about or talk about. And so if you're not careful, if we don't let the client know what we're going to be doing and why we're doing that right up front, you might find that they get a little bit resistant, when it comes to talking about things. Nobody, like when you go to a doctor, I had a mentor say this one time, when you go to a doctor, Nate, if he just starts poking and prodding you without telling you what he's about to do, you're going to be like, get your hands off me. What's your problem?
Yeah.
At least tell me what you're going to do before you poke there.
Yeah.
Right. And it's the same in insurance. When I first started, I wasn't real good at setting proper expectations up front, maybe because of posture or whatever it was, being new. And it seemed like at some point in the appointment, I was always felt like I was in a fight against the client, and as I got, more experience in the insurance industry, I just realized that feeling of fighting against the client should never happen. And that just comes because the client's not sure what to expect in the appointment. So they don't have time to mentally prepare. So I also had a mentor one time say, don't hold clients hostage in their own home, meaning they should know how long the appointment's going to last roughly, what you're going to do and what to expect. That's why there's no surprises. But I think also as well, setting the proper expectations up front about what we're going to cover and what we're going to do, it gives them time to mentally prepare before we start going through those questions with them a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, so it makes them less resistant. So I'll just kind of tell you how I set the expectations in my appointment. I'll give away my secrets here. I don't mind. So, we're going to chit chat for a couple minutes as we're getting there. I help everybody over Zoom or over the telephone now. So we're going to chit chat for a minute or two while I'm getting everything opened up on their case. And then when it's time to transition, I just kind of go into, so Nate, my job here today is to do a couple things with you. So first off, I'm going to go over your health information just to make sure that I didn't overlook anything when I spoke with you on the phone, and I can get you accurate pricing and products that you're going to qualify for. Secondly, I'm going to go over your financial information. So I'm going to go over income, bills, other life insurances, and that's so I best know how to help you so I don't sell you something you don't need. I can best help you find the plan that makes the most sense for your concern. And then thirdly, I'm going to go over why you all feel like you have a need for this product and what that situation might look like if something were to happen to you and we don't have this coverage in place. Again, so that way we're all on the same page and we make sure we don't get you something that you don't need or something that's too expensive for you. We can help you find what's exactly right for your specific situation. Is that okay with you, Nate?
Yeah.
And I get their buy-in right there like that, right? So right at the beginning, I'm letting them know why I'm going to go through some of the questions I'm going to go through and why I'm going to gather some of the information I'm going to gather. And I've never had in 4.5 years when I set up the expectations like that, where I'm on their side, I'm gathering this so I can best help them. I've never had somebody say, nope, no thanks, right? They're reaching out to us because they want our help. And so I think when we can position ourselves to where they understand we're not fighting against them, but we're fighting for them and we're fighting with them with those expectations, it just makes the appointment so much smoother, and it'll get your close ratio, I think, a little bit higher because there won't be that friction throughout the appointment as you're going over information.
Okay. And then how do you deal with, because this has happened to me a lot. I kind of have a similar thing. And what do you do when you sit down and the prospect or the client has mentally moved on from that and kind of moves the conversation past that? Like they dive into this. How do you bring it back to, because starting a meeting the same way is important, and having that routine for you is important because you're needing to get that information. So what do you do when somebody wants to go to step 3 and you haven't even explained you're setting up expectations?
Yeah. So you mean like when they're like, hey, I just want pricing. Let's go right to pricing.
Yep.
So I just bring them back to this. So Nate, I'm not a salesperson. I'm not here to try to sell you anything. And the only way I can truly consult with you is if I can go through all this information so I best know how to help you.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to give you pricing for something you don't qualify for and then get your hopes up. I don't want to put you in a policy that you don't need and is more coverage than what you need. And I certainly don't want to put you in a policy that's less coverage than what you need for your family and have something happen to you. So if this is something that you want my help with, I'm more than willing to help you. But we do got to go through this process so I can best do that for you as my client.
Okay. So yeah, you're reiterating that goal and just going back to it because it really doesn't benefit either of you if you move past that step 1.
Yeah, because quotes in a drawer, like in a desk drawer and a dresser drawer, quotes don't help anybody when you pass away.
Yeah.
Right. And I just been in the insurance business long enough to know people that are looking for just quotes. I can't help them.
Mm-hmm.
Right. My job is to help you find the insurance that you need and that you want for your family. Now, sometimes let's say you have a person who's just being kind of standoffish, and they're control freaks, right? And they're trying to maintain control and take that from you out of the meeting. I'm kind of just an upfront person. Right. I'm not going to waste a lot of time with somebody who doesn't want my help because, again, I'm going to make sure I have enough appointments on the schedule that if I sit down with you, Nate, and you don't want my help, that's okay. And we can leave without having a fight. Right. We can leave still friends. And so if someone's still kind of pushing me around, not wanting to answer questions and this and that, I'm just going to kind of stop them and say, Nate, I'm getting just kind of the feeling here like maybe you don't trust me. And I totally understand that. And I just want to say, is there something I've done to make it so you don't trust me right now so I can help you with this? And you'd be surprised how just addressing that head on, where you're putting the blame on yourself, like, hey, did I do something that made it so you don't trust me so we can go through this? You're going to find out 9 times out of 10, they're going to be like, man, it's not you. I just had a bad day at work today. I'm sorry. Or me and the wife just had a fight, or my dog died, or whatever it is, right? And all of a sudden, that tension that was building, all of a sudden, because we made each other human and we made that connection, we just kind of addressed the problem together. All that's gone, and we can get right back to business. Now, sometimes there will be people say, you know what, I don't trust you. And I just kindly let them know, like, you know what, Nate, my relationship with my clients is one of trust. And so, again, because I don't want to sell you anything, I'm going to go ahead and close this meeting down, and I'll see if I can find somebody else to get in touch with you. And maybe it'll be something where they can have a better relationship with you so they can best help you. I'm always putting myself in the position to be in control and also like to make sure that I choose my clients ultimately, right? With that. Does that make sense as far as how I kind of address the pressure and the tension that can sometimes come in an appointment?
Yeah, no, I think it makes total sense. And, making sure that that's upfront, and because a lot of people have bad experiences with salespeople, either buying a car or going to a pawn shop, so sometimes we have to diffuse that and move forward. So moving forward in your acronym, what does that stand for? And how do you keep that in your mind frame when you're going through a meeting?
Yeah. So this one right here, Nate, is one of the most important pieces for a life insurance agent. I can't tell you how many agents I've coached, and I can't tell you how many times I've skipped this part myself. And it always comes around to bite you in the end. It always does. That A stands for ask thorough questions, right? I'll say that again. Ask thorough questions. And there's 3 categories that you want to really.
We can cut that.
And we'll go live again in 3, 2, 1. There's three categories really that you want to be asking thorough questions in as a life insurance agent when you're with the client. Number one, this one would be obvious, but I tell you, I've found myself at times not being as thorough, and I've definitely coached agents who weren't as thorough on this one. That's the health, right? Life insurance is based off two things for quotes and getting approved. That's age and health, right? And so you want to go through that health information very thoroughly with the client. So that includes medications they're currently taking, medications they've been taken off of in the last couple of years. Here's one that you want to make sure you ask: are there any prescriptions you're prescribed but you're not taking? Because when you ask medications you're taking, they'll only tell you the ones they're taking. They won't tell you the ones they don't want. The doctor told them to take and they won't take it. But it's still going to show up on a prescription report for the life insurance company, right? Then you want to go through like health conditions. So obviously heart attack, cancer, stroke, heart surgeries, lung issues, hospital stays, all these things that the insurance company are going to be seeing. Because when I quote a client, the last thing I want to do is quote them, a price of $50 a month and have one of two things happen. Either it comes back as $100 a month after we do the application, or two, they get declined for it altogether. Right? I take that personally. When a client gets declined, I don't put that on the client's shoulders. That's my fault as the agent, because I'm the professional. I'm the one who knows the products and the companies and what should be approved and not. And so if somebody gets declined, that means that I missed something in the discovery process on the health, and I wasn't as thorough as what I should have been, right? I'm asking that client to trust me with their information. And then if I take them out and get them declined after they trusted me with the information, that's on me, right? And that's not a good way to build a relationship with the client. So be very thorough in the health, obviously tobacco, height, weight, dates of birth, all that good stuff. And then also health conditions, both in the past and currently. If you find out a client had cancer or find out they had a heart issue, dig in around dates of diagnosis, dates of treatments, when they were cancer free, all that good stuff. Because again, our job is I want to get them an accurate price that they can actually get approved for. It doesn't do them any good for me to give them a price that they can't get approved for, or to show them a product they can't get approved for, right? Then secondly, we want to talk about their wealth. Ask thorough questions around their wealth. And I'm doing that for one of two reasons. So let's say I'm sitting with you and Cammie, Nate, and we're looking at life insurance for you guys. I don't know necessarily how much life insurance you need if I don't know how much income is going to be lost. If I don't know what your all's daily must pay bills look like, if I don't know what other life insurance you have. So sure, I could go in there like a used car salesman, right? And just start trying to sell you on the perks of a policy, but that's not how you want to do business, right? We want to ask thorough questions around what that looks like. So if you were to pass away, Nate, how much income is being lost per month? What does that look like for Cammie to fall back on financially? What kind of bills, monthly bills, does she have to be able to afford if you pass away? And then, burial, cremation, funeral, all that stuff comes into play. Other medical bills that may pop up due to an illness before you pass away. And so I dive into what life insurance they already have, how long they've had it for, what their plan was when they took that life insurance out. So why did they feel the need to take that policy out they have? So I know why we're looking at this policy as well. And then really diving into what other investments and savings do you have, right? So Nate, if you were to pass away, is there anything else financially that Cammie would benefit from, that would help her out financially, right? And we're diving into all these things, and you'd be surprised. That right there was where I used to get a lot of resistance when I was brand new, right? People didn't want to talk about their wealth and their investments. And that was because it tied back to earlier, not setting the proper expectations, right? They viewed me as a salesperson, not as a consultant to best help them. Now, when I'm going through that information, I don't remember the last time somebody's been like, I don't want to talk about that. They start telling me more than what I need to know, right? Well, we spend $5 a week here at Starbucks and $10 here. Like, I don't care about that.
Yeah.
Right. And then the last one is I want to cover ask thorough questions around what their concern is. So why did they feel the need to fill out the request that I received for life insurance, but then secondly as well, to book an appointment with me? What's on their mind that's making them feel like they may have a need for more life insurance? And I'm really trying to figure out four things on the concern, right? Why they met with me, who would be affected if we don't have this coverage in place and they were to pass away, what would happen to that person who's left, to put the pieces together, and how quickly would they have to come up with a backup plan currently if we don't have this coverage in place? So basically, I'm trying to cover the why, the who, the what, and the when in their concern, right? So that's the questions I go through for the A acronym for Ask Thorough Questions.
Okay. Yeah. Because the detail, this is the detail section. And the more detail you get, the more you can help the prospect and the more time that it saves you from going to markets that they shouldn't go to. And time is very important in our business. We don't want to waste time. So moving forward, what is the L in sale?
This one should be self-explanatory as well, but it's one that I've caught myself, if I'm not careful about being intentional with, that I can kind of blow past. And that is listen. Just listen, man. Like, you would think that'd be so easy, but I think our minds, sometimes we're on an appointment, we're so busy thinking about the next thing we want to say that we're not actually present and listening to what the client is trying to tell us, right? And so because we're not listening, the client picks up on that we're just checking boxes off a process, right? And nobody wants to do business with somebody like that. And also what happens when we're not listening is we start steering the conversation a certain direction, and that's not even what their concern was around, right? So for example, if I was sitting with you and Cammie and you guys are trying to tell me our concern is around cover and burial and final expenses, but I'm so I'm not listening to that. I'm so busy trying to sell you a $2 million life insurance policy because that's what I think you guys need, and even though it's not what you guys are concerned about, or vice versa. You tell me, hey, I need 10 years of income replacement for Cammie if something happens. And I'm just so worried about trying to sell you this cheap little final expense and burial policy. We're not listening, right? When we're listening, it's so easy to go into a client and just have a conversation with them, right? Like, dig in around that. Like, hey, why do you feel that way? Tell me more about that, right? Why does that make you feel that way? And when we start listening, all this other stuff that we try to formalize in life insurance appointments is almost unnecessary sometimes, because a lot of faults can be covered up by simply listening to the client, and they understand that you understand what their concern is, right? It's the age-old proverb that nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care, right? Yeah. So simple in life insurance. Yeah, I can't tell you how many times I myself can get so carried away with the day and the amount of appointments I have that I'm not intentional about just listening to the client and what their concern is.
When we don't listen, we miss opportunity to add value. And I think that's important. And so moving forward, what is the E, the last letter here that we need to remember to do?
Yeah. So I have that down in my mind as educate with appropriate solutions. And what do I mean by that when I say educate with appropriate solutions? A solution, so you might be used to showing them options. And I think you all have heard me mention before in a podcast, people don't purchase options, they buy solutions, right? And so we want to educate them with appropriate solutions. Now, we've done all this work, we've asked all the questions, we've listened to their need, and now they're looking at us to help guide them through this problem. That if something happens to you, Nate, your concern is that you want Cammie to make sure she's not financially in trouble. You just gave me all this information, this personal information. And now it's time for me to do what I do best. And that is, okay, I'm going to show you something that helps solve your problem. I'm going to educate you around why we're looking at that policy and that program and that benefit amount. I'm going to show you something that's affordable, meaning I have different price tiers. I'm going to show 3 different options, right? All are going to be good solutions. They're all going to be good solutions for your problem. They're going to have different price points. So you can then pick a plan that's affordable for your budget. Because I don't want to decide what's affordable for you. Affordable is a relative term. And what I say might be affordable might not be affordable for you, or vice versa. And so I want to come in with solutions that I can educate you on the value of each solution that I'm showing you. And then also there's going to be 3 different price points on it. There's going to be a pricier one, a middle of the road one, and then a cheaper one, but they're all going to be solutions that will help with your problem. And a lot of times I think life insurance agents, when they show solutions to the client's problem, they start building value into option 1, which is like the most expensive option, right? And then when they start showing solution number 2 or option number 2, they don't build as much value. And then like when it comes to option number 3, they just kind of brush over it real quick because they're trying to steer you towards option number 1, right? Don't do that, right? If you're showing them a product, all those products should be beneficial for them. And so my job now as the consultant and the agent is to build value and educate you on the benefits of each one. All three, I don't show bad solutions. I don't offer bad options, right? And so if I'm going to show you something, all three are going to be beneficial for you. And then it just becomes my job to educate you on the three different solutions, right? I have appropriate solutions worked up. I'm going to talk about the benefits of solution number one. I'm going to talk about the benefits of solution number two. And I'm going to talk about the benefits of solution number three. That's the way the client doesn't feel bad if they can only afford solution number three. Hey, you know what? Great. You're still looking out for your family. You can afford $30 a month or $40 a month. That's awesome. You're a great person for looking out for your family. Or maybe you sit with a client, they can afford that $300 a month option, and that's the one they want. Hey, great. You love your family just as much as the guy who spent $30 a month. Great choice, right? You're looking out for your family. But that's my E. So I'll reiterate them. S is for set proper expectations. A is for ask thorough questions. L is for listen. Just shut up and listen. And E is for educate with appropriate solutions that are affordable, solve their problem, and help the client have peace of mind.
Yeah, so really in educate, you're executing on the S and the A and the L. You're doing what you said you were going to do at S. You're taking those questions that you are the answers you had questions for, and when you're listening, you're providing solutions. And so I think that's great the way you wrap that up.
Yeah, keep it simple, right? Insurance appointments don't have to be complicated. The client knows they have a problem. We have the solution to that problem. So go in there, keep it simple, do what the client expects of us, which is to be there again for their highest good. So set those expectations, ask those thorough questions, listen to their concern. And then if you've done those three right, you don't have to hard close them. You can simply educate them with the solutions to their problem, and they're going to naturally pick which one because they know they have the problem. So that's my process, man, in a nutshell.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that. I think there's a huge value there for anybody who's going into a meeting, especially for life insurance, making sure you do the right thing. Because at the end of the day, these people have real life scenarios and situations that we need to pay attention to. And the more people that do this, the better our overall reputation becomes, and the trust factor, that guy who didn't trust you. I think if we all do a better job in this industry and we support each other, even though we're competitors in different areas and different things, if we support each other, we make each other better, the product rises and insurance itself becomes a better work.
Rising tide raises all ships. Right?
Yeah.
And that's also keeping in mind with what's the most important thing. The most important thing is not that Busick Financial Services becomes the best insurance company out there, that Wexford does. The most important thing is that the client gets coverage.
That's right.
Right. And when we keep that the most important thing, everything always works out in the end. So yeah, anybody, guys, if there's anybody out there who needs some help figuring out thorough questions around or how to break this down a little more specific to you, shoot us a message. I'll jump on with you for a little bit, and I'm more than happy to talk with you, go over what I do as far as questions and in-home more in detail. And let's get some families covered this week.
There we go. All right. Well, thank you, Abe. Thanks for sharing that. And be sure to like and share and comment if this adds value to you. We really appreciate you sharing this with somebody else who could help.